Happy Friday, North Central Florida. Conditions looking absolutely amazing right now all across North Central Florida. The dry air is also moving in. It was a little bit more humid during the early morning hours, but our temperatures are still pretty cool, not into the 80s during the morning hours, so wasn't muggy at all. We are moving into the 80s for those high temperatures, and tomorrow's morning lows will be into the 60s, rather the 50s like we saw this morning. So the warm-up trend does continue. Current temperature 79 degrees in Gainesville, 78 in Ocala, 75 in Lake City. Everywhere across North Central Florida, inland areas on track to be reaching those 80s. Coastal areas on the west, coastal areas on the east, just going to be staying into those 70s. Still a few areas on the west coast into the 60s at this hour. Taylor County is now back inside the cone. Models are still showing that this storm, the eye itself, is going to be going more towards the east than what this cone from the National Hurricane Center is predicting. Of course, it will be weakening. Land is friction and it slows these storms down. It will turn into a tropical storm as it exits the state on its way to Bermuda. Coastal areas along the entire state of Florida are either seeing hurricane warnings and tropical storm warnings. Starting to pop up just about north of Orlando at this time. North Central Florida, we are on the weak side of this system here, so we are actually looking good for a very slim risk of seeing tornadoes in our area. That's the same for water spouts. But if these tornado watches do start to creep up more to the north, we are going to have to start paying attention here. It's just going to be a flood risk compared to Helene for inland areas in North Central Florida and some decent wind gusts. More rain for your afternoon hours as we begin to move into Friday. Strong storms. Notice that squall line starts to break up across North Central Florida by tomorrow afternoon, but everywhere expecting some rainfall. Another rain band from that frontal system as it sits on top of us for Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Your rain chances are up for Friday and Saturday to 60%, but it pays off Sunday and so on. Rain chances only 20%. Now, the stationary front is currently right on top of us, but the rain tends to come in front of frontal systems, hence why Central Florida and all the way down to West Central Tampa beginning to see the rain throughout most of the day on its way down to South Florida, as long as that stationary front continues to switch back into a cold front, continue to move more south, which it's on track to do. Another cold front right behind it, bringing lots of dry air to the north of us, bringing it back down into the southerly wind flow into North Central Florida. Really going to see those changes Tuesday and Wednesday. Less humidity. Unfortunately, cold fronts, they're not going to be bringing in the cold weather for the summer season for Florida, but we could use some dry air for your forecasts. You can finally begin to see rain with a lack of rain all throughout the day for really the next 48 hours, if that holds true. Rain on track to return, the summer pattern, afternoon storms and evening showers on Thursday. Happy Friday, North Central Florida. Temperature is still nice and warm. We're seeing the low 80s right now at this hour, although we did get up to around 84, a few areas up to 85 degrees. Very much a rinse and repeat situation here. Very few areas into the 70s. If we look at South Florida here, they're also going to be matching up once again with North Central Florida, low to the mid 80s. 85 in Southwest Florida, but a few areas in North Central Florida for brief moments, 15-30 minutes, did get up to 85 as well. Panhandle had a bit of a cooler start and stayed into the 60s longer than North Central Florida earlier this morning. They're going to be into the mid 70s. They do have a frontal system near them, bringing in some rain, especially to the north in the southern states, resulting in some slightly cooler temperatures and a little bit more humid. Still nice and dry in North Central Florida. We don't have the cold front necessarily moving through our area here, so no rain is expected for your weekend, only about 10% chances of rain and no big drops in your early morning lows. We're still going to see average temperatures into those 50s. 56 Gainesville, 55 Ocala, 54 Lake City. Keep in mind though, these are still some cool and chilly temperatures. Still some heavy rain bands moving and impacting into the areas here. Still watching that window just about north of Fort Myers. Fort Myers is not necessarily in the cone. Now it has shifted to the south in these past few hours. No longer has it that direct hit on Tampa at this time. Still coming in as a Category 3 hurricane, moving into Sarasota region, crossing the entire state with Lakeland in it, eventually moving out to the Atlantic coast just south of Orlando. Right now it is currently moving. We're finding out together here in North Central Florida since it just updated at the 4 p.m. hour, came out an hour early here, moving at 17 miles per hour. It is picking up in speed. That is very good. The slower these things move, the more rainfall they can bring. Now since it is moving in quicker, that means that we should start to see the landfall a bit earlier than we were expecting. So keep watching out for later this evening for that landfall. Currently still pretty far away, but almost getting pretty close to the area at this time. Maximum sustained winds 125 miles per hour. That is a Category 3 hurricane. As we look into Saturday, though, still on the hot side, but this is normal to see. For the heat index, the feel-like temperatures, 99 back in Gainesville, moving away from the triple digits. A few areas in north central Florida could still see it, but it's a significant improvement compared to feeling like 110 degrees outside. I believe this week with our first alert weather days, we saw up to 114 for Gainesville, being one of the hottest in north central Florida. Limited to no rain at this hour. We did see a few cells over in central Florida and southwest Florida, but nothing for our viewing area. That rain on track to increase in frequency starting for your weekend. Still feeling in the atmosphere, low 80s, 82 Gainesville, 79 in Lake City, and 81 in Ocala. A very similar situation in South Florida, still on the warmer side as always as we move into those early morning hours. The overnight hours, they're always going to be a little bit warmer, 87 Southwest Florida, while Southeast Florida 84 to 85 degrees. And since it's Thursday, that means the drought monitor does get updated. North Central Florida's drought has definitely improved. A few slivers of low levels of drought. Most of the heavier drought conditions is going to be in southeast Florida.